Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at the band Epica. Now, I was pretty sure I'd actually covered them before. I mean, I've been doing this for, what, 2.5 years now, and I'm sure I had covered Epica before, but apparently I haven't. So, I'm going to do that today. I'm going to correct this, because they are a very popular band of, a lot of people talk about them and say how great they are, but I've never actually checked them out on this channel. Now, I do believe I have heard some of their music before, but I'm not absolutely certain. So anyway, we're going to be looking at their new track that they released, I think, about 3 days ago, called Abyss of Time. Now, I had to do a bit of research to the band, and for anybody who doesn't know Epica, Epica are a Dutch symphonic metal band founded by guitarist and vocalist Mark Jansen after his departure from After Forever. Formed as a symphonic metal band with gothic tendencies, later Epica have incorporated into their sound strong death metal influences. Starting from the third album, even progressive metal attitudes have become evident. In addition, the band often uses thrash metal, groove metal, and black metal passages, mostly in the drum style, power metal moments, and references to Arabic music. Some songs also have electronic shades, gent transitions, and folk metal melodies derived from Middle Eastern, Chinese, and Celtic traditions. They are very well known for the attention to the vocal lines and the contrast to the heavy context. Whatever that means. In the band's sound, they use the use of female vocals and male growls performed by Simons, and Mark Jansen respectively, is fundamental. They've tried to perfectly balance the sound of the two. They primarily write their own lyrics, well, I would hope so, most bands generally do, which often deal with the philosophical, psychological, spiritual, moral, scientific, environmental, socio-political, global and topical and personal themes. They are also known for their wide use of orchestra and opera choirs. So there you go. So I'm imagining something along the lines of maybe Nightwish, maybe with a little bit of extra flair thrown in. The fact that they use a lot of inspiration from Middle Eastern and Arabic music and, Chinese and Celtic and stuff like that sounds quite interesting to me. So here we go. Now, I do have some lyrics for the song. Again, these are fan-submitted, so I don't know if they'll be 100% accurate, but they're the only ones I could find. So we'll jump into this track now. It's called Abyss of Time, and see what we have. Here we go.
The void. The demiurge, shaper of the false universe. Search the demiurge, no walls of self-protection are walls of self-imprisonment.
Well, I'm not sure what to make of that. It felt... musically, it sounded brilliant. But something about it felt almost... it felt almost empty, sort of almost lifeless. I'm not sure what it was. There just didn't seem to be that much sort of passion or emotion in the singing. You know, it seemed almost monotone. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it just didn't have... there didn't seem to be any impact behind it. I can't quite think how to explain it. You know, there didn't seem to be any feeling about it, almost like they were bored while singing it. So there wasn't that much energy or emphasis put into the song. I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing out on something, but that particular track didn't feel that great. But again, that's just my personal opinion. Now, the song itself seems to be about possibly living your life to its fullest. You know, don't let fear or doubt prevent you from living your best life, you know. That sort of thing. Now, that's possibly what it says. And like I said, these are fan-submitted lyrics, so they might not be 100% accurate, but they seemed pretty much of a muchness when I was reading along. And through this first verse, the male and female vocals sort of switched lines for the first part. It goes, fill the void in me, see life beyond the veil, replace all thoughts from the abyss with cosmic energy, ignite the flame in thee, fill out the tree of your life. We are rooted deep in the darkness and keep growing towards the light. So in those first few lines there, it almost says, you know, like, live your best life, don't give in to fear or pain or anything like that, don't cower in the darkness, you know, reach for the light, live your best life. It says, replace all thoughts from the abyss with cosmic energy, so it's like, replace all negative thoughts with positive, you know, good thoughts. Ignite the flame in thee, you know, so let your passion burn, you know, don't sort of push it down. Fill out the tree of your life. We may be rooted in the darkness, but we keep growing towards the light. So no matter how dark things get, we still aim for better. So just within the first 7 lines, it sort of gave the whole sort of premise of the song away. Be without your fears for 1,000 years. Search for stillness deep inside. One thought that grows in the abyss of time fills up the vast space with matter and life. Free of the darkness that fetters the soul, find at the source the end of your goal. So, be without fears for 1,000 years. It's like, so cast all doubt aside, Don't worry about what may happen. Just aim towards what you want. Just go for it. Just do what makes you happy. Do what you want. I like it. Find the spark in me, see life beyond the dream. Replace your darkest emotions with pure divinity. Ignite the flame in me, unite with your inner light. We should free ourselves from the shadows and the bondage of the night. So, they're just saying in many different ways, don't give in to pain, don't give in to anger, don't give in to hatred or fear. Just live the best you possibly can. Find that spark. See life beyond the. Don't just dream what you want to do it. See the life beyond the dream. Just go for what it is. It needn't be a dream. If you try hard enough, you will achieve that dream. Replace your darkest emotions with pure divinity. So again, don't give in to hate. Don't give in to fear. Look for the good, aim for the good, be positive, be happy within yourself, and just push forward. And it goes back into that chorus. Be without your fears for 1,000 years. Be the master of your life. One thought that grows in the abyss of time fills up the vast space with matter and life. Free of the darkness that fetters the soul, find the source, the end of your goal. Fight back your fears forever. Be the master of your life. Learn to unlearn. So, again, that's the most straightforward way they've said it. Fight back your fears forever. Be the master of your life. Learn to unlearn. So, push back against the fears. Push back against all doubt that you have in your mind that you can't achieve what you want. Just go for it. Be the master of your life. Do whatever the hell it is you want to do that makes you happy. And then there was this sort of spoken word bit where he said, in the beginning there was a timeless, spaceless nothingness, and into that nothingness came a thought, purposeful, all-pervading, so ending the void. So, once there was emptiness, and then this sort of idea sparked out of nowhere, and it filled that void forever, So, don't be, let your ideas thrive, let them flourish. And then it went into this sort of, almost sort of like gent sort of thing. It says, surge, the demiurge, shape of a false universe. Search that deadly urge. Your walls of self-protection are walls of self-imprisonment. So that's like, letting yourself be negative, closing yourself off from everyone isn't doing you any good. You're imprisoning yourself, you're closing yourself off from everybody, and it's only going to get worse over time if you keep hiding away. Free yourself from this prison of doubt and anger and, etc. And then it goes back into that chorus. Be without your fears for 1,000 years. Search for stillness deep inside. Strive for harmony in duality to revise the book of life. There was one thought that grew in the abyss of time. It filled up this vast space with matter and life. Freed from the darkness that fettered the soul, we found at the end our reason, our goal. So it's a slightly modified version of the previous chorus. And then it ended with, we march on, we're counting down to singularity. While we drown, we're moving on to master wisdom, to be free. So, I love the message that the song is bringing across. It's sort of like, be positive, live your best life. Don't let things get you down. Don't hide yourself away. Don't block yourself off from people. Live your best life. Aim for your dreams. Go ahead, push forward. It's a great message in the song. But like I said, I felt like there was something actually missing from the performance of the song. Something about it felt a little bit empty. I can't quite place my finger on exactly what it was, but there just didn't seem to be any sort of passion or emotion behind the vocal performances. Later on in the song, when there was that really sort of heavy gent moment, when we had Mark doing those really sort of brutal growls at that point, that bit was the best bit vocally of the track, because there was at least seemed to be some sort of passion and emotion behind that part of the song. But the rest of it just sort of seemed very half-hearted. The performance itself was good. I can't deny that the woman has a great voice. Mark has a fantastic ability to do growled vocals. The actual performance itself was just lacking something. And I can't quite place my finger on it. Like I said, it just feels like there was no passion or emotion behind it. They're just sort of like going, be without fears for 1,000 years. That's just what it seemed like. It didn't seem very half-hearted to me, anyway. But like I said, I'm pretty sure I've heard music of this before, and I thought it was pretty good. This might just be an outlier, because I don't know. To me, this just didn't really sort of get me excited, And I do like my symphonic metal. I absolutely love bands like Nightwish, and I've got loads of them. I've got loads of these bands. I like symphonic metal. But this just didn't excite me. It might just be this track. Some of their other music might be even better than this. This might be an outlier. This might be one of the few tracks of theirs that might actually not be as good as their other stuff. I don't know. I'll have to go and check some of their other stuff at some point, because I'll never, like I say, I'll never judge a band completely just by one example of their music. But this one, it was a good track. It's got a great meaning behind it. It's just the vocal performance didn't really do it for me. But that's just me. But I really can't think of much else to say about that. So I'll leave it as it is. Now, if anybody would like to make a suggestion, then please feel free to do so. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or even through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which of course would be a great help to me. There is also an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There are a couple of limitations that go on that, however. Just to be fair to people who suggest tracks through the regular means such as Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comments. And if you do make a suggestion through those regular means, do know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I get suggested so many tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it'll get done eventually. It just might take a while to get there. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mainly those involving people of the alternative community, but of course, they want to put an end to all hate crimes. It's just that attacks on people of the alternative culture is how they came to being in the first place. And it's something I believe in very, very strongly, because it's something that gets widely ignored. It never gets spoken about. And that is not good enough. Something needs to change here. Because, every single day, all around the world, people from the alternative community are getting violently attacked just because of their taste in music. And, we're not talking about insults, thrown across the road. We're not talking about, people getting shoulder rammed as they walk down the street. We're talking about real violent attacks where people are getting brutally beaten and sometimes hospitalised, sometimes with broken bones and sometimes more life-threatening injuries, just because they listen to alternative music. And it's something that's been going on for decades, but it's never spoken about, and that is something that needs to change. The last time this was spoken about on a wide scale was 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Malby were violently attacked as they were on their way home late one night. They were jumped and attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people, knocked to the ground and beaten, kicked and stamped on so hard. They had their heads stamped on, for crying out loud. They were beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he was in a coma for maybe about a week or so. I can't remember exactly how long. Sophie, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. Sophie Lancaster was beaten to death because she was a goth, because she listened to alternative music, because she wore alternative fashion. This young woman was 20 years old and she was beaten to death just because of her taste in music and clothing. And like I said, this happened 13 years ago. And we've heard nothing similar since, but I know for a fact that similar things have happened in that time frame. In 2018, a young woman in Glasgow who was running a charity gig had to make a trip, a 5-minute trip from the venue where she was hosting the gig to her home. And in that space of time, she was attacked twice by the same group of people who, again, beat her, punched her, knocked her to the ground, kicked her while she was down. And they did this to her twice in the space of a 5-minute walk. And the only reason this was stopped is because a passing taxi driver interrupted them and they scattered like the cowards that they are. But the thing is, the taxi driver didn't help her in any way. He just carried on driving. So, she got to her apartment, did whatever it was she needed to do, and went back to the venue where all of her friends saw what had happened to her. Where was this all over the news? It was reported on the news in Scotland. Briefly. But, why aren't we hearing about these sorts of things? There was a punk in America who was intentionally run over by a high school jock football player type guy. He was run over on purpose. And he was killed. Where was that in the news? And the thing is, the jock that run him over, the guy that purposefully run this punk over, essentially was let off because the judge didn't want to ruin his future career because he had a football scholarship. He was let off with murdering someone because it was just a punk, so that he didn't jeopardise his future football career. These are the sorts of things that we're dealing with. Every day, we're hearing about sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred. We hear about these on a daily basis, from the most heinous and violent of these crimes where someone is murdered for the colour of their skin, their religious beliefs or their sexual orientation, down to the most petty and pathetic of these crimes where entitled white women are phoning the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public area. We hear about every facet of these crimes every single day on every media platform. But we don't hear anything about these people from the alternative culture that are getting hunted down, beaten, attacked, and sometimes actually killed just because of their taste in music and because of their taste in clothing. And that is something that needs to change, because it is a very real problem. We occasionally hear 1 or 2 stories, but that's the thing. We only hear 1 or 2 stories. But this goes on every single day. For most of my life, I couldn't step out of my house without having some kind of verbal or physical abuse thrown at me because of my taste in music, because of the way that I dressed. And the only time that actually stopped was when I moved into a tiny little village in the north of England. And it's just ridiculous that this carries on and it gets ignored. By ignoring it, we're letting these people get away with it. But how long is it going to be before somebody else is beaten to death like Sophie Lancaster? Is that going to be all over the news then? It shouldn't have to take someone's death for it to be spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before doing something about this. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. They want to put an end to this trend of people from the alternative community getting targeted and attacked just purely for the fact that they listen to alternative music. You know, something needs to be changed. Something needs to happen. You know, we can't carry on letting this sort of thing happen, because by carrying on, by ignoring it, we're just letting these people think that it's okay, that they can carry on doing it, that it doesn't matter because they won't face the consequences of their actions, and that is not acceptable. That has to change. These people have to face up to what they have done and face the consequences for what they have done. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be something as simple as a small donation through their website, or something like one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even that one. You know, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to the fact that this is happening, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.